Hey y'all, Uncle Jimmy here. When you speak for yourself, you're forced to think for yourself. And when you think for yourself, the sports world looks different. In order to enjoy this podcast and this show, you need to have the courage to look at the world from alternative points of view and not be offended when you disagree. Speak for yourself isn't your Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram feed. SFY tells you what you need to hear and not what you want to hear. So, welcome aboard, buckle up, and enjoy the ride.
We start today in Jacksonville. All right, prepare yourself. I'm about to go on a rant that will make you think that I'm old, I'm out of touch, and I'm a relic of a bygone era. I do this every day, but today will be much worse. All right, you ready? Jalen Ramsey is leaving the Jacksonville Jaguars indefinitely to be at the side of his girlfriend when she births their second baby. He won't play for the Jags this Sunday. He might not ever play for them again. Jaguars coach Doug Marrone released a statement saying months ago in the offseason, Jalen notified me that he was expecting the birth of his second child in late September. We spoke about this recently again today after practice and decided that it was best for Jalen to fly to Nashville tonight after the meetings to be with his family during the birth of their daughter. He will return to the team when he's ready, and we will provide an update at that time. All right, as part of his ongoing trade demand, Jalen Ramsey is taking a maternity leave from football. I'd have more respect for him if he were taking the leave to assist with wedding preparations. Yeah, I said it. Any woman you can have two babies with is a woman worthy of marriage. I have no respect for what Jalen Ramsey's doing. A father being present at the birth of a child is about the father, not about the child. If Jalen Ramsey wants to do something that will benefit that child, he should stand before family, friends, and God and commit to marrying the mother of his soon-to-be 2 children. Yeah, I said it. Ramsey should take full responsibility for what he has created. He's created a family. Children are best served when the two human beings who created them are committed to each other, living under the same roof, and functioning in concert to provide a model of love, respect, and guidance. That's not what Ramsey's doing. He's using his unborn child to shirk the commitment he made to the NFL and his 52 teammates on the Jaguars. Jalen doesn't want to play on the Jaguars anymore. He's taking his ball and going home. I can hear my critics now. How dare you criticize a black man for being there for his child? We get criticized for being absentee fathers, and now we're getting criticized for not being absent. Nah, I already answered that. For fathers, delivery day is important for the father, not the child. A baby needs 3 people on delivery day: mama, a doctor, and a nurse. Do any of you watching remember who was in the room the day you were born? I certainly don't. You can argue he's taking maternity leave to be there for the mother. That argument would have more merit with me if they were married. Jalen Ramsey is irresponsible. He's controlled by his emotions. Jaguars president Tom Coughlin said a few words that hurt Jalen's feelings, and little Jalen felt disrespected and demanded a trade. Well, his tantrum, his fake flu symptoms, his claims of back tightness, and now his decision to take maternity leave all make trading him a bit more difficult. Some teams are likely no longer interested. They see his behavior as a red flag. Other teams are likely to weaken their offer to Jacksonville, which will make Coughlin more inclined to hold on to Ramsey. Like in all other aspects of Ramsey's life, Jalen has handled his relationship with the Jaguars like a foolish child. He's more committed to his feelings than he is to the responsibility he owes his girlfriend, his kids, and his profession. Yeah, I said it. All right, joining the desk now are Fox Sports NFL analyst Mark Schlereth and LeVar Arrington. Marcellus, I'm going to throw this grenade to you.
Man! Yeah, give me, Mark.
Any problem with Jalen Ramsey taking a paternity, maternity, a leave of absence?
No problem at all with Jalen Ramsey taking this leave of absence for the birth of his child. First of all, congratulations to you and Bree. Respect for your second child. We have to look at this in a vacuum. And if you think about it, Jalen Ramsey may be getting the headlines right now for taking this leave. But Kyle Van Noy, James White, I remember watching the Patriots and Sunday Night Football. I was like, whoa, where'd they go? You know where they were? Taking leave for the birth of their child. So this is an age-old tale that is telling to all of you guys out there that you should never cry wolf. And this is a story of crying wolf. And now the critics are pouring out their criticism towards Jalen Ramsey. And I've seen it in different headlines out there because they think he's crying wolf in other respects. When Jalen wants a new contract and the Jaguars say no, but we'll make you the highest paid after this season or going down the line. And then all of a sudden Jalen demands the trade, and then Jalen misses practice, and then Jalen comes back and says the general soreness, the back, the hamstring. People were skeptical. People were looking at him sideways. So now he actually has a real reason, a real thing. But guess what, Jalen? Some people think you cried wolf before. And now when it's real, people are not going to really appreciate it because of all the other times. So
and the wolf got him.
The wolf got him. And his name is Tom Coughlin, and that wolf up there is not playing. So all this said, respect for him taking this leave of absence, but we know what it's connected to, and that's the problem.
Yeah, I'm just going to go out and shout out thoughts and prayers to Jalen. I mean, he's got a back injury. He's got the flu. I mean, he's got, like I said, this is not about, see, this is where you guys are both wrong. Okay, let me tell you where you're both wrong. This is not Jalen taking leave. This is Jacksonville saying, go away. That's what this is. This is Jacksonville saying, I think it's best for you to leave your team. Because here's the problem. I want players to get paid. I want every guy to get paid because you deserve it. Nobody comes to the stadium to watch Tom Coughlin sit around his ass off. They come to watch you play. They come to watch you play.
Yeah.
And you deserve your money. But when you step across the line and say, man, I'm here with my 53 guys who people pay to come watch, and you play 3 games, and then all of a sudden you have a back injury, or you have the flu, or your baby's being born, that's a lack of commitment to the guys that you signed up to play with. If you stayed out from day one and said, I'm not playing until I get my money, I'm fine with this. This is the Jacksonville Jaguars as an organization saying, go away.
Wow.
That's what this is.
That's interesting.
That is an interesting take. Listen, I'm going to say no to the question. The question being, is Ramsey taking maternity leave bad? No, it's not. Now, where I'll agree with Mark is, how long are you taking maternity leave for?
I use the word maternity. He's
Right.
taking paternity leave.
Okay.
I just want you to be.
Okay, paternity.
You can be political.
Get out of that smoke.
Paternity. I'm just reading the question.
Right.
All right. The reality here is there's this saying, and most of the best coaches out there will say it, the people who care, old school cats, regardless of whether it's his wife or the woman that is birthing his child, they'll tell you faith, family, and job. Matter of fact, Speak for Yourself has a T-shirt that has the saying on it, faith, family, and football. Yeah. And that is the order. That is certainly the order. Keep God first, or whatever God you serve and praise to. But family comes next, and then your job comes after that. I will never, ever put my family ahead of my job. It'll never happen. The problem here is he did cry wolf. He did. What?
You said that back.
You said it back. But I caught it.
Don't put your team.
Floyd has a different.
Say it again. How did I say it?
You said you would never put your family ahead of
You're saying
football.
you never put football ahead of your family.
Right. I'll never put my family ahead of
Freudian slip.
Right.
Football
Okay.
ahead of family.
There you go.
Yeah.
So the reality here is, regardless of what we feel about if he's married to her or if it's about the mom and the doctor being there, the reality here is you cannot blur the lines of what your job is and what your responsibilities are. And your responsibilities of being the father of that child. What if that child has some type of health difficulty when she's born? What you know? I mean, there's
if the mother was in labor, I would be good. I would understand it. Those Patriots that Marcellus rattled off, the babies were born on football Sundays. I get it. While the games were going on, in labor, having the kids, I get it. And again, Mark has kind of blown my mind and thrown me off a bit here because I think there's some truth to, like, we had a conversation months ago, and then this dude circled back with more conversations, and you know what? We told him, go home, man.
Yeah.
We tired of playing games with you. That is interesting and fascinating and potentially true.
Well, especially when you're talking about Tom Coughlin and Doug Marrone. I don't know if you know Doug Marrone, but Doug Marrone was a former offensive lineman, played in the NFL. Doug Marrone ain't playing.
Neither is Tom.
And neither is Tom. So if you know either of those two guys, they're like, hey, guess what? You know what? You've cried wolf now twice or 3 times. we're not playing that anymore. You can go away. And this is a signal to everybody in this locker room. If you ain't with us, we don't want you here. And that is Tom Coughlin. That is Doug Marrone.
The interesting thing, though, is that you can't scare Jalen Ramsey in this moment.
Clearly.
As you should not be able to. Let's think about it. We all talk about in our society, we know someone or we've heard of someone who has I don't give a damn money. Mm-hmm. When they have I don't give a damn money, they get this certain security. And this behavioral change usually accompanies that security.
We've seen it.
We've seen it, right? I'm just talking about that. Jalen Ramsey knows he's getting paid either as a Jaguar, despite these antics, or certainly by another team out there, top dollar. So Jalen Ramsey is not going to be intimidated by anything you respond to. So I say all that because his security blanket is my performance and my age. I know I'm good. I just saw people go and clamor over AB, who's older and great. Do you think they're not going to do that over someone younger with less issues? That's great. So, and I know Tom Coughlin more than Doug Marrone, but I know Tom Coughlin. If you sit in another GM's office and you sit there and say, I had my issues in Jacksonville, half of this league is going to understand. Yeah. Because half of this league knows that Tom Coughlin was the guy that they had a mutiny against, basically, in New York. They were calling for his head a few times. Guys getting their facial hair cut off just to play a football game, and guys had disgruntled issues with him. So in the civil war of Jalen Ramsey and Tom Coughlin, it's going to land a lot softer for Jalen Ramsey than people anticipate.
And having a baby is a sympathetic happening. Yeah. That's a sympathetic happening.
Yes.
It is a sympathetic happening. But give me a break. This dude is doing this for the trade demands. He's doing this because he's irritated with the Jaguars and they're irritated with him. I'm not putting this, again, he goes, and I say this in all sincerity, when you have two babies by the same woman, she's worthy. And so to me, if I'd have some sympathy for if this was his wife.
He's new school though. And be clear. Multiple babies with a companion, a partner is not new. That's
no, I know.
I got uncles that had multiple kids. I got multiple cousins and she wasn't my legal aunt. You know what I mean?
But doesn't mean things are better.
It doesn't mean things are worse either. And the reality of it is, the reality of it is some people choose to have the relationship the way that they have it. Yeah. I won't drive down that road.
I will. Give me the keys when you're done.
Go.
Right now?
I'm sitting in the car with you.
I am the product of a mother and father who were never married. Right. 21 years as a nuclear family. Everyone thought their parents were married. They never were. The most glamorous, glorified boyfriend and girlfriend you ever saw in your damn life. 2, I am a rehabilitated baby daddy. My first child, who is 20 years old, is right now in college. Me and her mother weren't together. Now I'm a rehabilitated baby daddy who is now a father of 2 and growing, as I announced today that we are now having another baby girl.
Come on, man. Congratulations, man.
And I'm telling y'all now, I'm telling you, especially Whitlock, next April, I'm missing a gang of shows. Because when that baby come out, I ain't going to be up here talking. I'm going to be there watching. Right. So all that said, the dynamic of why he's doing it, 10 months ago, he didn't sit down with Bree and say, you know what? I'm about to do a trade demand, and I need you to get pregnant.
Let's make it happen.
It's going down, girl. Let's go. No, there are unintended consequences, and there are coincidences that occur.
Yeah, no. When you're as irresponsible as Jalen Ramsey, you're right. You don't plan anything out. You just take life as it is. Trust me, Marcel. The new Marcellus, the rehabilitated with Anna Marie.
Yes.
That's the gold standard. Jalen Ramsey needs to get on that bus. But anyway, I'm on a transition here.
I get it.
Is the maternity leave, as I call it, paternity leave, as you politically correct? They didn't have
for the dad.
But anyway,
I've had it.
Is it a red flag for potential Jalen Ramsey suitors?
Not at all. As I was leaning towards earlier, this is going to land correctly and softly for Jalen Ramsey if he's out of Jacksonville. 2, all it's going to tell another team is, Jalen's going to go to the nth degree when he has an issue with you. The pettiness will be on full professional level if Jalen Ramsey got a problem with you. But think about this. If I saw it in the 30 for 30 for Dennis Rodman. When Rodman had all his issues. He had his issues in Detroit, was fine. Then he went to San Antonio. And then Phil Jackson and Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen had a conversation about Dennis Rodman said. Jordan was like, yo, what are we going to do with Rodman when he acts like Rodman? And then Phil Jackson said, I got him. You guys worry about everything else. Same thing wherever he lands. I got Jalen Ramsey. Someone's going to be appointed, just like when you have to go out there, or as a defender we've been before, and we had to go out there and mirror the quarterback. Someone's going to mirror Jalen Ramsey. We see it with the Dallas Cowboys a lot, Ezekiel Elliott, Dez Bryant. Someone's going to maybe mirror Jalen Ramsey. But this is not a red flag. This is just the opportunity cost of getting someone that talented.
I will tell you, you think egos are big in the locker room? You think they're big in the locker room? Walk upstairs to the coach's office.
They're bigger.
They're bigger.
Way bigger.
And so I've never met a coach that didn't think under my expert tutelage I can't fix him.
Go.
Right?
Come on,
I mean, I've never met a coach that didn't say, hey, come on. The things we heard in Pittsburgh about Antonio Brown, we just scratched the surface. There's so much more that went on in Pittsburgh. They tried to manage him forever. They finally let him go. But there were a bunch of suitors. Oakland got him. If you don't think what he did in Oakland on Instagram and everything else with the frozen feet and everything else that went down in Oakland, if that's not enough to get him excommunicated from the league, as long as you're talented, they will put up with a boatload of issues. And all of those guys in that organization go, we can fix him. We'll fix him. And listen, man, that's if Antonio Brown gets 3 chances, and he'll probably get another if legally things clear up, then this guy's going to get, there will be teams lined up to pay him.
Jalen Ramsey is nowhere near as egregious with what he's doing as Antonio Brown. That's first and foremost. Secondly, is it a red flag? I don't think it's a red flag at all. But the reality of it is you were touching on a point that I thought was very interesting. The coaching staff is and the GM, they're going to have to take a chance with this. If he's missing a game, you're going to have to take a chance with it. Now, they're playing bad, but how much worse will they be without Jalen Ramsey on the field? I think depending on how they perform will state a lot as to what the future holds for Jalen Ramsey. If you can noticeably tell, if Deion Sanders was missing, because we like to compare him to Deion, if Prime is missing from a game, does it impact that game?
Absolutely.
You already know.
Okay. We have to see how much that game is impacted that he doesn't play. So maybe you're right. They're telling him, go take a seat. We need to see if we can win without you. Maybe they're right. Maybe Jalen's right. I need to see if they can win without me, right? So now this is a high-level game of chicken that's going on right now, and somebody's probably going to win. That paternity leave, in a way, gives him a way and an opportunity to measure and weigh. It gives Coughlin and the Jacksonville Jaguars an opportunity to measure and weigh. We're going to have to wait and see how that plays out.
There's a team out there that thinks they're one good corner away from being a Super Bowl contender, and they have a bad game. They're like, wait a minute, they're making a phone call.
There you go.
All right, I'm done looking like an old relic.
Hey guys, this is Jason Whitlock from Speak for Yourself. Are you ready for what's ahead? You can't always predict the future, but you can game plan for it. Generations of families and businesses have harnessed the power of Pacific to help them reach their unique goals. Whether you need to save enough money to meet your needs, ensure your family is protected, or make sure you don't run out of money, Pacific Life has a variety of financial solutions that can help. Pacific Life counts more than half of the 100 largest U.S. companies as its clients and has been named one of the 2019 world's most ethical companies by the Ethisphere Institute. Protecting what matters most to people for 150 years and counting? That's the power of Pacific. Ask a financial professional about how Pacific Life can help you game plan for the future, or visit pacificlife.com.
Mark Schlereth and LeVar Arrington are back with us. Time now for a big story. Let's move to Cleveland, where Baker Mayfield's sophomore season is off to a rocky start, with the Browns falling to 1-2 to start the year. Baker's struggles have brought a lot of heat, including from Rex Ryan, who said that the quarterback is overrated as hell. Not surprisingly, Baker didn't take the criticism lying down, firing back at the coach yesterday.
If you don't wear orange and brown, you don't matter. And Rex Ryan doesn't have any colors right now for a reason, so it's okay.
All right, the question here is issue with Baker clapping back at Rex Ryan.
No issue at all. In love with this return fire, because we all know it's mind over matter. And it's just great to see in the midst of his struggles that he hasn't lost his mojo. He hasn't lost his mentality. He hasn't lost his way. Him doubling down, him continuing to repeat the same motivation that got him to this place, despite outcome, is what I believe in. So the essence of him shows me that I'm not a front runner, and this is not an act. I am Baker Mayfield. Before that scoreboard is touched, you got to come through me. And if I hear about it, if I see it out there, I will use anything for fodder that turns it into motivation, that materializes into success. That's the way he works, and I'm glad that he's still
hoping.
No, it's worked to this point.
To this point.
To this point, including last year. So hopefully this continues in terms of the way he's built mentally, and it finally changes on the field.
Go ahead.
I'm looking at it from the point of view. I listened to the story Tony Gonzalez told and why Whit was included in his Hall of Fame induction. Sometimes you have got to have somebody shoot you straight from the hip, whether you like it or not. Whether Rex was the greatest coach to ever coach or not, doesn't matter. It came from somebody who has lineage in the NFL. Dad, defensive coordinator of one of the greatest defense, if not the greatest defense in that Bears defense. Your brother has coached in the league. You've coached in the league. He returned fire because it hurt. Let's be clear. You could say, hey, you threw a brick at me. You know, if it hit you, it hurt. He responded based upon the person who said it. If there was no respect there would have been no response.
Sure.
Okay? So the reality here is that this could be that very, what you mentioned, it could be that very moment that's a pivotal moment for Baker to say, well, you know, I have been given a lot of talking, a lot of fanfare, you know, doing the drinking beers and doing this and doing that, and a whole lot of off-field antics to bolster my stardom. But the reality here is maybe, like Whitlock said to Gonzalez, maybe I do need to be a better football player. And at this point, that's what he's probably going to do, hopefully.
I would say as far as clapping back is concerned, you know, there's an old saying that wolves don't concern themselves with the opinion of sheep. Are you a wolf or are you a fake wolf? Right? Yeah. I mean, I would look at Baker Mayfield and say, you're the quarterback of this football team. You don't need to clap back at anybody. What you need to do is play better because you haven't played very well.
Fair.
And last year, you actually played pretty dang well. You watch them, you put on the tape. It's two different guys right now. So is it your off season? You're in every commercial that's on television during the course of a game. So I would say that. And the other thing I would say about Baker Mayfield in regards to Rex Ryan, dude, you've put one dribble of piss in the bucket right now. Rex Ryan has filled that whole damn thing up with his NFL career. So he has the right, he has earned the right to criticize you for the way you're playing. And I would say, you know, if you don't like it, then instead of clapping back at it, go out and shut him up with the way you played on the football field. Daniel Jones has been crushed by everybody,
yes, he has,
including Baker Mayfield, including him. And you know what Daniel Jones did? He got an opportunity, went out there and he shut everybody up. And you know what? He didn't say nanny, nanny, boo-boo after he got done. He just went out there, did his business, then he walked away from it. And I think from a quarterback position, you have to have a certain amount of stoic kind of reaction to things, and you have to be a calming force within your huddle and within your football team, and he's not.
As a quarterback,
I've nicknamed this dude Little Smokey. He loves smoke. He loves smoke. And one thing I think he's going to figure out is the things that work for you in the college game may not work in the pros. It's like being a great high school sprinter and you ran a 10-4 in high school, but that doesn't always translate to when you get to that next level.
Right.
And so I just think he's suffering from smoke inhalation. He's taking on too much. An NFL playbook, a new head coach, the addition of OBJ with Jarvis Landry. There's all kinds of things where he needs to focus his energy and attention. And in college, he got away with taking on anything and everybody. At this pro level, man, they're all really, really good.
Right. Yeah, and you know the difference is so slight, the greater your competition is. I mean, so subtle. Coach used to always tell us that we practice on a green turf, not a red carpet. And he said that to guys who would get distracted, who had commercials, who had off-season commitments, who were just kind of like, you could see, a little distracted by the lime. He was like, we do this on a green turf, not on the red carpet. And you can maybe say that's part of this. part of this is also, let's just be real, on the field. It's not all about Baker Mayfield. His sack percentage last year was 4.9%. This year is 9.2%. For those who don't think those numbers matter, twice as much he's going back under duress and hitting the ground.
Matters.
That's where the happy feet come from.
Sure.
That's where the rollout right, improv, and inaccurate throws are coming from. He's rattled right now because of this porous offensive line. So if you look at it all in totality, I don't understand why we need to manage our personality when that same personality is what got you to this place. Like, I think that will be something of production if he starts to say, let me be different.
I would say the reason you have to manage it is what Whit said, is in college you face like talent maybe twice a year, maybe. I mean, you can just go out, if you play at Oklahoma, and 9 games you're going to out-talent your opponent by a long shot. So you can talk all that trash. In this league, you talk all that trash, and you know what? Every team is as talented as you, and they can't wait to shut you up. And so, like,
we talked during the offseason, and I think Earl Thomas has said it. They play the Ravens this week.
Yeah.
People can't wait to shut the Browns up.
Can't wait.
They're getting everybody's A game. People want to sack Baker Mayfield. People want to Little Smokey. I mean, dude, you know who the guys are from different neighborhoods and whatever. Right. Oh, you think you tough? Let me show you what tough is.
Yeah. It's Patrick Beverly to Lonzo Ball, that game 1. Remember that?
Yeah.
Like, all that smoke you coming in with, let's just end that right now, game 1.
Stop what you're doing, look down at your left wrist, because our friends at Movement Watches have got exactly what you're missing. Movement has you covered with tons of quality, clean, and all-around good-looking watches and accessories. Do your wrist and wallet a favor. Go check out their minimalist designs that you can have with no risk because they offer free shipping and returns. They also have tons of sunglasses and offer interchangeable watch straps so you can never run out of options for a new look. Movement watches start at just $95, so you're guaranteed to find something you love that won't break your bank. They've sold over 2 million watches across more than 160 countries, and their collections are always expanding. See why Movement keeps growing. Check out their expanding collection. Get 15% off today with free shipping and free returns by going to mvmt.com/speak. Go to mvmt.com/speak. Join the movement.
Whitlock and Wiley, LeVar Arrington is back. We're joined now by Fox Sports NFL analyst Bucky Brooks. Let's move to Lamar Jackson, sponsored by the Spark Cash Card from Capital One. Lamar's transformation from a run-first quarterback to a dynamic passer has been one of the biggest stories in the NFL so far this year. And yesterday, when he was asked about why he was running less, the quarterback offered an interesting revelation.
I hate running, only if I have to, but my job is to get the ball to the receivers, the tight ends, running backs. If I have to run, I'll do it, but I'd rather just sit back and pass it. I like throwing touchdowns instead of running them.
All right, the change in Lamar's style is clearly by design, with his rush attempts dropping from 17 per game to just 9, while his passing numbers have skyrocketed with more than 11 attempts per game, leading to a big jump in passing yards. All right, the question here is, do you like Lamar's mindset? I'm going to go first, Marcellus.
All right.
I'm indifferent about his mindset. What I find interesting is I think he's looked over at Cam Newton, whose career has stalled at age 30, and said, I'm not going to be that guy. I'm not going to be RG3. I'm not going to be Cam Newton. I'm going to play this game from the pocket.
Interesting. I don't take it that way. I think this is a guy who's registered and realized that I get more respect when I throw touchdowns than if I run touchdowns. That's one. So it's going to land differently for you guys and for me. Physically, we all know what it's about. We all up here have played the game of football, but I challenge all of our viewers, especially those who have never played the game of football, to understand what it feels like when that ball's in your hand. I'm a former running back, dog. All the way to collegiate level, I played running back. Never in the pros did I ever get a carry, but I did have 2 interceptions and 5 fumble recoveries. So I had 7 carries in the NFL. Tell you what happened every single damn time. Felt like the world had turned on me. Like, you got emergency relief needed, FEMA. Like, I'm like, what the hell is everyone? You are primal prey. Yes. Every time I touch that ball in the NFL. So I'm looking at it like, y'all remember that childhood game, 3 Flies Up, when you play in the neighborhood and everybody coming for you?
Free for all.
He has realized that in his second year quickly. I ain't long for this, y'all. And I'm going to get more love if I throw this ball. So the path of least resistance is just to throw it. And I respect him for saying it.
Look, I think the best thing the Baltimore Ravens did is they put RG3 in that room. RG3 is able to tell him look, hey, dog, I ran around. It was great. You don't need to do this. You don't need to live this life.
Don't be me.
So he is being able to take that. But I really think what it really shows, Lamar Jackson has a quarterback mentality. Like, some of that we didn't know in the draft. We talked about it, but he has a quarterback mentality. He talked about throwing the ball, getting the ball to the playmakers, letting them do work. I'm going to be honest. I thought he was an athlete who was obsessed with being able to put the ball in the paint. He ran for 1,500 yards twice at Louisville. I didn't think that he would be able to make the transition where he would tone down his running to then throw. Because a lot of times we've seen this end badly for athletic quarterbacks, guys that try to make themselves into pocket passers, and it never works. I give Lamar Jackson credit for the improvement that he's made. I'm just curious to see how the Baltimore Ravens continue to build their offense around an evolving player.
I'm okay with his mindset in terms of he has a winner's mindset. The problem I have with the statement is I feel like, and for whatever it's worth, I'm going to just keep it real. I just feel like black quarterbacks are always crowbarred into having to justify this situation, this deal. I cannot stand the fact that we're not hearing all the quarterbacks around the league. Well, Tom Brady, how do you feel about running versus throwing the ball?
Well,
hey, how about this? Right. But the reality of it is
nobody's going to ask me about skinny jeans.
Yeah, they will. They will. And they will wonder, what does Jason Whitlock look like in skinny jeans? They will ask the question if there's relevance to it. And the only reason why people make this a relevant topic is because we generally make black quarterbacks athletes. It's one of the most, it has historically been the least.
But again, I'll go back to this. What I've never really understood is, why is there any shame in being athletic?
And that's the point I'm making.
There is none.
Did you see what he did to Okafor out there on that field?
Yes.
The way that man, he stopped, let the man get going, started back up. The man fell like he put like all you could on him, like a video game on him, right? There shouldn't be any shame in it. And there shouldn't be anything connected to him being an elite athlete that's able to throw the ball from the. You don't have to come out and say, I hate running. No, you don't.
No one asked him that. That's the response he gave. But why can't it just be seen as like, this dude is smart in terms of like, how do I maximize the money while I'm here in the NFL? I got to be here a long time. I'd like to play like Brady till I'm age 40. Why can't he just be smart enough to hear the guys saying, look, you never hear about an old running quarterback.
Yeah.
And so, again, he's just embracing the mentality to me that will lead to a long career, and he can maximize his money.
But you can do that without having to say, I hate running. Like, that's we love running.
Why not be honest?
We love, because he's probably not being honest with.
You know what's interesting?
He's not being honest.
What was that? 2 weeks ago, we had this same conversation about the evolution of the mindset of the black quarterback. We were talking about this, how they got crowbarred into a Donovan McNabb, even Deshaun Watson of late. I am a pocket passer.
They got all.
Why are you highlighting that when you have both attributes? They make you a prisoner of your own success in terms of what you have in terms of quality.
I don't like that.
I don't like that either. But let's just be real about this. He's smart too. Like, they are soul snatching when you got the ball in your hand, and he knows that. And he's still on pace, Bucky, even though in this toned down offense, to have 917 rushing yards, fourth in NFL history.
Well, he said I'm running if I have to.
So even though it is going to come at a measure that he didn't think about last year, he's still going to get his yards.
You talked about black quarterbacks feeling like they're being crowbarred into this mentality. I think the biggest issue stems from the fact that every TV announcer that is a color analyst is a former pocket passer. So what do we hear when we turn on the games? Hey, you got to win from the pocket. Hey, you got to win from the pocket. Championship quarterbacks win from the pocket. We never have a former quarterback that was athletic in the booth to be like, look, Lamar Jackson can win. He has to
Young.
understand,
Steve Young.
like,
He's
when
not
to
in
do
the
it.
booth.
He
but
was
right.
at one point, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Maybe.
So it shapes
But
our
you're right,
perception, and
yes.
it also shapes public perception. So the
Yes.
first thing reporters and everyone they come to is, yeah, you're athletic, but can you win from the pocket? Just listen to what we hear. You got to win from the pocket. Yes, you do, but I need a playmaker. Lamar Jackson is a playmaker.
Yeah, it's the same thing that happened in the sport. Like, I remember getting to Buffalo, and people wanted to use the fact that I graduated from Ivy League school almost against me. They're like,
Right.
you might be
You
too
can't
smart
play.
for football.
Yeah, you
you
can't
might not
play.
really want this. You might not really want to just dumb it down. And
Right.
You might want to challenge the coaching staff.
Right.
And then they voted me as a player rep before I even raised my hand because, oh, you went to that school. So it always comes like that.
But let's take, hopefully this analogy works. Deion Sanders. He was a cover corner. And people hit him up, you don't tackle. And Deion's like, so? I cover. I'm going to cover half the earth. And that's going to be good enough.
Right.
And so I just think that the criticism or the questioning of can you play from the pocket, I think is appropriate based off of who has, during the history of the league, won Super Bowls, who's made the most money, who's been to the most Pro Bowls, who's had the longest career. I don't want to in any way dissuade Lamar Jackson or any other black quarterback in the NFL from doing what has worked. Why not follow the models that have worked and have produced the most wealth? I'm not knocking this kid because listening to Lamar talk this year versus last year, I'm like, wow, this kid is really growing rapidly.
He is growing rapidly, but I think the reason why you have to respond is because for so long, those questions were the dog whistles when it came to black quarterbacks playing the position.
It still is.
Because for so long, blacks were not allowed to play quarterback or positions of centrality because they were the intelligent, communicative positions. And so now Lamar Jackson is in the quarterback position, which is the face of the franchise, and he always has to fight or overcome the struggle of, hey, I'm an athletic guy. Remember, this is a guy that was pegged to be a wide receiver. Despite being a Heisman Trophy winner, despite putting all this stuff.
One guy pegged him to be a wide receiver, Bill
But remember, it lingers. It's public perception.
Only takes one to
It's
put it
all
out
this
there.
stuff. And so he feels like he always has to scale that wall.
First-round pick who beat out a Super Bowl winner and started as a rookie and won a bunch of games. I'm not throwing no pity parties for Lamar. He's on a great path and track. And the fact that he's athletic, to me, is a blessing. John Elway was incredibly athletic at the quarterback position and used his athleticism appropriately and had a long career. That's a great path for Lamar Jackson. Whitlock and Wiley, Mark Schlereth, and Bucky Brooks are back. Time now for Darnell's question of the day. Darnell, take it away.
Yes, sir. Let's move to Titans tight end Delanie Walker, who has some interesting things to say about how NFL culture has changed since when he first came into the league. Take a listen.
Honestly, when I came in the league in 2006, I know that's a long time ago, the atmosphere was a lot different. You know, we were 1 and 2, it'd be some pissed off guys walking around here, calling guys out, team meeting without the coaches. But today's football, it's a lot different. A lot of these guys can't take that. A lot of these guys don't like to be called out. They want to fight or they want to be traded. And that's pretty much where we're going today with this game. As you can see, the rule changes and everything is just different.
Do you think Walker has a point, or is this get off my line type of stuff?
Well, since I'm a get off my line type guy, you know how I feel about this. He took him to church. So, yeah, I think this has a lot of relevance. I think there's a lot of truth here. I think, and it worries me about football, it's the ultimate team sport that now is getting that brand first, me first mentality inside of virtually every locker room, and it's becoming pervasive.
Yeah, I love what he said. And I think what he said was matter of fact. It wasn't a shot directly. He's just saying, look, I'm from one era, and now I'm still playing 14 years later, and it's a different climate. He talked about how players now will fight or want to be traded, fight or flight. Nuance has been lost in our conversations, in our exercise, in a lot of today's society. And if you look at it, why is that? And you know what is interesting? That the social media aspect has really connected the back of the classrooms in the entire school. And what does that mean? The back of the classrooms where maybe the guys are not seeing it in full perspective, now have a collective thought. And they all think that either I'm going to fight this situation from within or I'm out because I have options. Why do I know I have options? Because I know what you're going through. And we have all shared these same thoughts, but not necessarily shared the same experiences or perspectives. So Delanie's correct, because I actually left the league in 07 saying the same thing, that when I came in 97, godly, it was different than it is in 07 when I left. So it's just a matter-of-fact statement. There are indicators why the situation has changed and the dynamics have changed, but I didn't think anything was wrong with what he said.
No, I think what he said is the truth, but I'm going to give the young people that are playing in this league a bit of a pass, because everything we talk about in the locker room centers around commitment, accountability, and trust. And so a lot of times when we look at the way the high school landscape is and even beyond, we're not holding people to those standards. We're not asking them to be committed. We see guys transfer every year in different high schools. Mm-hmm. We don't see parents and their coaches hold them accountable. We have star players who get in trouble, but they find their way back onto the field. And so they don't know what it's like to be coached hard or to be given tough love and to deal with those things. And so when coaches begin to, what we call coach, they think it's hating. They think it's criticizing, and they take it personal as opposed to, hey, this guy really wants me to be a better player. If I listen to the message, I can be who he thinks that I can be as a player.
Wasn't it when you were coming up? Wasn't it if I quit yelling at you, if I quit screaming at you, then you should be concerned, right? Because I'm trying to make you a better player. And I travel around every week calling games, and I talk to coaches and GMs all the time. Said, man, it's these kids. It's different, and they think this is hard. They don't know what it used to be like, right? But that's their reality because that's what they've grown up in. I was talking to Larry Fitzgerald week one. He said, you know what I've come to do as far as communicating with the young kids coming in, because this is what, year 16 for Larry? He goes, I text them. He goes, I don't even go talk to him and say, hey, man, on this particular route, he goes, I text them because I get better responses. So as an organization, you have to basically come off what you used to know and get onto their level, where they live. And that's how the communication has to start. And you may not like it. I certainly don't like it. But that's the reality of where they live right now. And what he says is 100% true.
I'm going to go a level deeper, and feel free to disagree with me. But, look, I think so many guys in football or in athletics now, because the way all of American culture is going against family and single parenthood, I just think a lot of guys, I look at a lot of guys and I go, was his dad involved in his life? And because, again, my father, it didn't matter what I did. He always had a way to criticize. He always had a way. And you had to figure out, and it took me a while to like, oh, it's because he loves me. But it was tough growing up as a kid. It was like, damn, I can't do nothing right. I'm an adult now. My father's passed. My mother, very critical of me as an adult. And she's totally dependent upon me. But it comes from a place of love. And then, so I look at a lot of these guys that buck up against people that are critical or trying to correct them and they can't handle it. I'm like, I wonder if these guys have ever been properly loved. Has any adult early in life, tried to correct them, or now parents want to be best friends and things like that? Again, I sound like an old man all day today, but, that's where I'm at with it.
Well, you're on to something, obviously, and the numbers support that, and the experiences, our world supports that. But between fight or flight is where team building occurs. The rigors of going through that process occurs. Right. That is of yesteryear, it seems like, in collection compared to today. Here's what I see. When we used to say the grass is greener, we didn't really get a view of our neighbor's lawn. With social media, when you say the grass is greener, guess what? Oh, it is. It's really greener. I got tired of you. I hate you. I don't want to deal with this. I'm not practicing. Demand a trade, because you actually see where you'll land. It's a collective thought, and you don't see the entire picture. You just see a swatch of that grass. You're like, you know what? That's better. Then you land there and you realize, there's patches over here too. But now you're in a different situation, and you try to make the best of that until you repeat the same process.
Look, it's the thing that we talked about. It has changed at the lower levels. Like when guys get used to bouncing around, there used to be a thing where you had to earn the rite of passage to get onto the field. In high school, I played at a high school that was very competitive. I hoped that I could get on the field as a junior, and then you wish that you can be a starter as a senior. It's not like that anymore. It's not like that in college anymore. If I'm not playing, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put my name in the transfer portal. I'm going to go somewhere else where I can play.
Yeah.
And so until you begin to develop those calluses where you really have to work hard to earn everything, you don't know what it's like, and you're not prepared to be in a pro locker room.
You better, like, if you're a professional football team, you better know the way guys are being coached at the lower levels. One of the big things that Nick Saban's group always says is we go through the recruiting process. The more important process is the de-recruiting process. Letting those guys know that you don't produce here, you don't get to play, and basically, coaching them with some authority and coaching them hard. And those Alabama players come in, for the most part, those guys can flat out play when they get to the National Football League. They're used to that. So there's a lot of that goes on, and that's unfortunately the world we live in. But you're 100% right. They have seen it on social media, right? The grass is greener.
Years ago, I was friends with a Patriots executive that talked to me about the profile of the Patriot way. And it wasn't about two parents, but they tried to dig in on athletes to find out, was there some man in your life who coached you, mentored you, challenged you in your did you have a relationship with a man growing up who challenged you? And if they could figure that out about you, you fit their profile. If you didn't have that, you didn't fit their profile, and they were reluctant to bring you on board. And because I don't want to put myself on a pedestal, because I'm telling you, a lot of the issues these kids have today, I had back then. But my parents were just so hard on me. I can remember I was the only good player on my 6th grade football team. We lost every game. I wanted to quit. My father beat my ass, carried me back up to the team, and wouldn't allow me to quit. I get to college. Things go poorly my first 2 years. And I'm like, I'm out of here. And my mother said, take your ass to your daddy's house because you can't live with me. And my father said, take your ass to your mama's house because you couldn't live with me. And I had to continue to play football. And I figured it out, worked it out, and played at Ball State, and it turned into a positive experience.
It was funny. Somebody, and it doesn't matter who it was, but we're acting like idiots while my son was still in college pitching. And the whole thing is on, on all the sports talk stuff and all Sports Center and all that stuff. And I literally called my son. This is the honest to goodness truth. I called my son. He's like, what's up? I go, you see what's going on over here with such and such a player? He goes, yeah. I go, I just want you to know, if you ever behave like that, I will be on a plane wherever you are, and I'll whip your ass. I'm just letting you know. He's like, I would never act like that, Dad. I go, I know, but I'm just letting you know what the consequences of you behaving like that are. End of story. You have to continue to parent, and that's the way I was brought up, and that's the way the accountability factor that I held my kid to.
Yeah, I mean, we all know the scripture, nothing new under the sun. So thousands of years ago, they already knew these moments would occur. And it's interesting that the issues may be the same, but the medicine is a lot different. And if you think about it, we are giving different medicine to these kids in part because the relationship and the dynamics are different. Everything from discipline has evolved and matured, and sometimes is also hurt and undermined some of those relationships with parents and authority and kids. So I just see it right now, the way that you have to understand is there are more options than ever. The NFL is younger than it's ever been.
Right.
Think about that. So when you're talking to a group that is younger, not fully evolved, not fully experienced, not fully calloused, you have guys who are going to sit there and say, how much of this do I have to take, especially when I have more control and power than ever? And let's not indict them because they are exercising some of what has been given to them.
All right, Darnell, how old do we sound? 100?
You sound real old right now.
All of us?
Yes, I just disagree. To me, it starts with the leaders in that locker room. So speaking on Delanie Walker in particular, he's a veteran of that team. So if he feels like his guys or the coach of the locker room is not getting it, is not working hard, doesn't care, he has to look himself in the mirror. You're the veteran on that team. So to me, it starts with the leaders and the coaching staff of a team. If a team's not acting right, then that's on you. I didn't play the NFL level, so I can't speak on the changes at the NFL. But I played at Ball State at the Division I level, and I graduated in 2016, so relatively, recent. And it was still tough in those locker rooms. We had a couple bad seasons where we had players-only meetings, where we held each other accountable. We were doing the same things you guys are naming back in the day. So to me, it's dependent upon that team and the leaders on that team. So that's on Walker, in my opinion.
Whoa.
Some of your best work, Darnell.
No, I hated that. You mean, Darnell?
Get real.
LeVar Arrington and Bucky Brooks are back. Let's move to New England, where old man Tom Brady has the Patriots rolling so far this season, off to a dominant 3-0 start. Even still, Brady was limited in practice yesterday, which got him to admit that his age might be finally catching up to him.
Football is it's a contact sport, so I wouldn't say I'm a spring chicken anymore. So I'm trying to just, feel as great as I can and see how it goes tomorrow.
All right, is this a sign the 42-year-old Brady is going to retire after the season?
Oh, no, not at all. This is a sign.
He can't practice.
Oh, my God. Vet rules. That's what this says to me. It screams vet rules to push back that retirement. Tom Brady is genius. He is starting this race of this season with the finish line in mind. You want to know why? Y'all don't remember the finish line last year, do y'all? When Tom Brady had to grab his inhaler and his asthma was starting to act up and he looking for Alex Guerrero because despite the Super Bowl champions being on the field, Tom Brady was getting worse every single game in the postseason to the tune of his completion percentage from game 1 to game 3, and passer rating went down every single level. Now you can say because of competition. Okay. But only 2 touchdowns in the entire postseason, 3 picks. Tom Brady realized that, the way that this is going to work is how am I going to survive and thrive when it matters most? So don't get mad at the guy for doing new calculations based on his birth certificate and experience. It's just a genius move.
Bruh. His quote was, football is a contact sport. I'm not a spring chicken anymore. That's posturing. Why? Contact sport, stated by Tom Brady. Who's touching Tom Brady in practice? I'll wait. Who's touching Tom Brady in the game?
He's getting touched.
I mean, here and there,
Come on,
but I hear
man.
you.
He's getting touched.
It's posturing. That's tongue-in-cheek. I'm gonna just let y'all know, hey,
He's saying he
I need a little
doesn't
rest.
recover the way that he used to.
And that's fine. I need a little rest. You know what? Just God rest his soul, one of the greatest martial artists ever in the history, Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee would not need to practice breaking a board or 2 all week long to be able to break the board
when it mattered
most. Bottom line, Tom Brady don't have to do all that work during the course of a week. That's for the guys that need to learn it.
Vet rules.
Vet rule.
Vet rule.
But at some point,
leaving.
because this is a guy that has always been a rep hog. He didn't give reps to Jimmy Garoppolo and those other guys when they were there. So now he's finally relenting, and he's going to let Cody Kessler get some reps. Like, look, Tom Brady is getting older. It gets tougher waking up in the morning. It gets tougher going to facilities. You got Bill Belichick barking at him. Look, man, I believe if the Patriots win the Super Bowl and if Tom Brady's play continues to dip at the end of the season like he did,
don't do it.
I think this is it.
Oh, here we go every year. How many years we gonna say this? How many years are gonna be wrong?
Here's what I'll say.
Wrong. Stop it.
And I thought about this. Like, is this him hinting to not playing again? He will be one of the most celebrated, if not the most celebrated football players ever in the history of the game. Not for him selfishly speaking, but for all of the players, for all of the coaches, for all of the families, for all of the people that he has impacted. They are going to let people know when he's going to leave. You are going to know this is Tom's last season.
No.
Oh, 100%.
No. Jim Brown didn't do it. Barry Sanders didn't do it. Tom ain't doing it.
Not comparable.
Look, I'm gonna tell you why. Bill Belichick's gonna help him make this decision because again, they've had to sign an extra quarterback to run their scout team because Brady's not practicing, and that means Stidham has to come in and play for him, and so they're carrying an extra quarterback. At some point, Bill, but I'm not giving up a roster spot because Tom Brady can't practice.
Yeah, they're not gonna they're not gonna let Tom Brady become Muhammad Ali with the mustache.
Stop with
He's not gonna be Muhammad Ali with the mustache.
Y'all stop.
They're not gonna let him do it.
Y'all stop.
They're not gonna let him do it.
Can I take you guys into a conversation, my rookie year that I heard between two Hall of Famers and Bruce Smith and Marv Levy when they were talking about practice tempo and
practice.
We're talking about practice. You know how Bruce started, right? He's like, hey, Marv, how many games a week do we have? Marv said 1. He said, well, damn it, let's practice like that. Not 3, not Wednesday, not Thursday, not Friday, not Saturday, only 1 a week. Why am I bringing that up? Because Tom Brady is not just about contact. Being on your feet, running around, doing all that. Tom Brady's still doing drills. He like, come on, Belichick. Like, let me get my time away from this. This doesn't mean retirement.
Let's move to Lambeau Field. In tonight's Packers-Eagles matchup on Fox, Aaron Rodgers has the Packers off to a 3-0 start, but is yet to put together a vintage Aaron Rodgers-like game. The Eagles, meanwhile, have literally dropped 2 straight games with Carson Wentz's receivers unable to haul in would-be game-winning touchdowns. All right, we have a very simple question here. Who's going to win tonight, Eagles or Packers?
Eagles. I got to go with the Eagles. This is going to be the first real offensive test for those Packers.
You did hear me say at Lambeau Field.
Oh, you really trying to go there, huh? They haven't lost that Lambeau before. Let's talk about the fact that they're going to get Nelson Aguilar. No, I'm sorry. Alshon Jeffrey's back on top of what they have in the receiving corps. So no Deshaun Jackson still, but I think that boost right there, a lot of pressure, a lot of criticism coming the Eagles' way right now, and I think Carson Wentz is going to respond. So, yeah, they beat the Packers.
I mean, I think the Packers have this one. I think the Packers' defense, the way they're playing, is lights out. I think the main thing you got to figure out is, can Aaron Rodgers be content with playing the way the Packers are playing? Running the ball, playing defense, him being more of a complement than the driving force of the offense. If he can just buy into the way that they're playing, their recipe and their formula is a Super Bowl winning formula. He just has to be okay with the other parts of the team driving the bus.
Dun, 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 dun.
Go, Pack, go.
Dun, 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 dun. Let me tell you something. I got so tired of hearing that song when we played the Packers.
They must have been beating y'all down.
Oh, my God. We were taking it bad. I'm taking the Packers, and the reason being is, of course, the defense is playing well, and I think it's an understatement to say that Aaron Rodgers has to get used to playing this style. He called it out. We talked about it on the show. He called it out. This isn't the way we're going to play. You said it in your rant, right? Listen, he wants to have the credit for why this team is winning. He put it out there in the public. That puts pressure on him, Aaron Rodgers. It puts pressure on the coach, floor. It puts pressure on this offense to produce. They're going to come out. They're at home, friendly confines of being home, and I think that they're not only going to win, but Aaron Rodgers is going to have a vintage game. He's going to have one of those he's now launched type of games.
He took the words right out of my mouth. That's what I think is going to happen. And I know that, look, the Philadelphia Eagles are desperate and should be. But I think it's going to, because I don't think this team is on the right page chemistry-wise, I think that pressure is going to make them crack even more. I look for the Eagles to, again, we showed the play earlier in the week, their offensive linemen standing around, not giving the greatest effort. I just don't think this team is right mentally. You're on a short week, playing on Thursday at Green Bay, at Lambeau Field, all that emotion. Aaron Rodgers has done put pressure on everybody. Aaron Rodgers is not a guy that cracks under pressure.
No.
He's a guy that performs under it. And so I agree with LeVar. I'm looking for a big game.
Can I rebut your honor?
Yeah.
Can I rebut your honor? This team, the Green Bay Packers, 23rd in scoring. And they have this offensive guru who comes in from Tennessee, and he touched the L.A. Rams and Sean McVay one year. You know what they were? You know what they were in scoring in Tennessee? 27th. So everybody's thinking that unleash Aaron Rodgers in this system. Maybe this system ain't what y'all think it is. If they weren't doing anything before, there's no track record of success with this system. as Grandma used to say, boy, that fish only gonna be as big as the tank you put it in.
That's true.
I don't know what kind of tank this system is, but it doesn't look too big right now. So all this unveiling and unleashing, Aaron Rodgers already told you his frustration because I think he's realized the limits of this system, and it's like, I'm gonna have to abort mission.
Well, the problem with that analogy, which is very good.
You talking about my grandma?
Yeah,
What you mean?
I ain't talking about your grandmama.
Okay, where
I
we
love
at?
your grandmama. All right. But the reality of it is that this coach has had to jump in a tank that has a shark already in it.
Ooh, Lord.
All right? So it's not fitting the shark into his tank. He's got to jump in the tank with a shark that's already in there.
I think at some point, though, we have to look at the Philadelphia Eagles. And you just have to wonder if they're going to have buyer's remorse in a year or so. Because they made a decision to go with Carson Wentz over Nick Foles.
Ooh.
And I'm not saying that Carson Wentz isn't more talented than Nick Foles.
You are.
But the team sure looked different when Nick Foles is at the control.
You said it. You just
Eagle
said it.
fans, now I said it, now he said it. It's on you, and that's the word right there. That's how it goes.
He go.
All right, Darnell, you got anything to add?
Take that.
Yeah, the last question in tonight's Thursday Night Football Super 6 is, what team will win and by how many points? I obviously already know what you guys' picks are, but give us a final score so our guys can win some money.
I'm going to go 34 points for the Green Bay Packers and 27 for the Philadelphia Eagles.
I got a lower score than that. 20-13, Philadelphia Eagles win on the road.
20-13. Here we go, 27-20, Packers.
Oh, you ain't on camera.
You ain't in it. You ain't in on
I
it.
mean, nobody care about your money.
Nobody gave you the memo.
Before the game kicks off tonight.
I should have been looking at you like, we ain't in on that.
Ain't nobody giving me the memo. Somebody has to tell me.
Download the Fox Sports Super 6 app and play Thursday Night Football Super 6 for free for a chance at $25,000 to Terry Bradshaw's money. All right, welcome back. Uncle Jimmy's here to help us talk about our approval rating for Jalen Ramsey. All right. Big dummy of the day.
Big dummy of the day, go to the person that you've been my nephew for 50 years, and I still ain't got a little nephew out this deal. Been knowing Marcellus now for 2 years and already got 2 babies. What you doing wrong, man?
All right, let's talk some Jalen Ramsey, who left the Jaguars to go on maternity leave with his girlfriend. I was super hard on Ramsey in my Whitlock, but obviously I'm not married and have no kids. Marcellus, if I had a baby, do you think I'd be more sympathetic to Ramsey?
Oh, yeah, because you would complete what a circle of life. You will understand what love really feels like. You think you love yourself, what you do, Whitlock. I know you. And you think you've been in love before, but there's no greater love and joy than when you see yourself represented in another physical being, man. So, yeah, I don't care what the dynamics are. When you have a child, you finish that cycle of what love looks like.
Uncle Jimmy, you agree with Marcellus here? Would I be more sympathetic?
You know what, man, let me tell you something. That essay you wrote this morning, I'm going to be honest with you. That's the very reason your whole family loves you. But they don't like you. Now, I'm not just talking about your immediate family. I'm talking about your Fox family. I'm talking about your Kansas City family. I'm talking about your Ball State family. Hell, your ass just went and spent $50,000 to get a brother out of a Chinese prison, and he don't even like you. Hey, Marcellus, he stand up here holding a sign, smiling, looking like somebody done super glued a pair of Eckrich sausages across his lips. Hey, man, the brother looked at him and did him like this. Hey, man, I laughed at you with your $2,000 French fries. This brother just got a $50,000 knot job. For real, man.
He's been locked up too long,
Look, man, he looked at his mom,
so.
who's that? She said, don't make eye contact. Look, man, you can get up here and talk crazy all you want to.
Oh, man.
Look, I'm not going to let you embarrass the family. I don't work too hard to protect our name and reputation like that.
Okay.
We don't put the family business in the street like you trying to do Jalen Ramsey. See, that's your problem, your mouth. You don't know when to say when. It don't mean if you win you at the dinner table, when you at the beginning of the show, when you're talking to the priest making a confessional.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Some things you just keep in the family.
Yeah.
Not everything is meant to be shared publicly. Look here, I've heard your mama say more than one time, hey, you can always afford to do without the first child. Because the first child's almost always a mistake.
A mulligan.
I remember a time I told my mama I was running away. She said, so? I can have more kids. Hey, I remember your grandmama. What was the famous phrase? I don't raise no fools around here. I drowns them all in the creek. Grandma couldn't keep your chubby ass underwater for nothing. All you kept hearing was, he just kept popping up. But we don't talk about that. That's what I'm trying to tell you.
You just did.
You just did.
Man, look, I don't know if anybody never told you, man. Please, man, feel free to keep some things to yourself, man. If Jalen Ramsey want to go out here and be out here with the birth of his child, let that man do that. Because here's what he knows. He knows he's a man first and a football player second. And it's called FMLA. The fool might leave at any time. Leave him alone. Fool might leave. Take it from Uncle Jimmy. Hey, man, I worked at the sheriff's department. I had 8 kids consecutively. I was off from work. I got off from work for 2 years. Got paid every day. You don't hate the player, hate the game. It's called FMLA.
All right.
Fool might leave at any time.
All right, we got to get to my approval rating.
Consecutively.
Consecutively, one after another.
Full dumpster fire of 30, 0 in job performance. He quit his job, basically.
He quit his job.
He quit nothing, man.
Damn.
Dumpster fire.
Oh, man.
Well, you need to have a baby.
I got a role player out of him. Job performance goes up because played well against the Titans and they got a win. Character goes up as well. Teammates, I had too many of them over the years who didn't even care about the birth of their child. So respect for him at least going putting the effort.
All right, the internet agrees with me. They have him at 42%, a dumpster fire
mad at
as well.
Jalen, huh?